edition of Monday Matters. We're thrilled you could all be here to enjoy this community gathering in Richmond Hill and to listen to our speakers this evening. My name is Carly. I have the pleasure of working for MPPY, and I'll be your moderator this evening. If you have any questions at any time, please place them into the chat. We'll read them out and have them answered if we can and if time allows, but rest assured that all the questions will be answered by our office. I'd like to now call up our MPP of Richmond Hill and Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, MPP Daisy Y.
Good evening, everybody. But before I join all of you and start speaking, I think Jill was just sending me a message, and she said she doesn't have the right link. We should have a lot more attendees, so I'm really concerned that for some reason some of them don't have the link. Just give me a second. I think this is Jill. She's going to speak to us. Hold on. Hi, Jill. I'm going to send that to you again.
Live TV, folks.
Yeah, we're all listening to the call.
We just can't wait. I was just listening to her presenting a speech. Today, we are zoomed out with International Women's Day's message. I have attended maybe 5 different International Women's Day events, and mine own right now. So Jill has just finished with one. So we're so happy to have her. Anyway, I shall continue to start. Thank you very much, Carly, and happy International Women's Day to everyone. And happy International Days, whether you're a woman or man, because the women will make the men also very, very happy too, right? It is so wonderful to see all of you, and I thank those who are here to speak to us this evening, and I know Jill will be with us momentarily. I am pleased to have the Associate Minister of Children and Women's Issue, the Honorable Jill Dunlop, who she was just calling me. She will be with us tonight and will give us an update from the ministry. So hold on a second. Let me just see. She just said she has a wrong link. Can somebody make sure she got it correctly?
Well,
She's
yep.
waiting to come in. Okay, I'll just continue to speak while waiting for her. I am pleased to also invite a lot of you who have been with us in January and February. This event, as I say, is like a community event. The time for me to give you an update, to know what is going on in the ministry, and also a time for you to express your concerns, your suggestions, and in the meantime, we're sending you all the new information as well. I got Jill's keep on sending me an email. So I hope Anthony got Jill's email. Can I hold for a second? Let me just send her the link.
I'll take care of it, Daisy. It's okay. I will email her. Don't worry.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Now, our feature topic for March is International Women's Day, of course. And I'm so pleased that Elma, who is with us, Elma is here, and I'm happy to see Elma.
Hi.
Elma will be Elma Arsate. Did I got it correct, or maybe?
Perfect. Perfect pronunciation. Perfect.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here tonight and speaking to us. And our second half, we will have getting to know your neighbors. Every month, we will introduce a different community group. We have introduced the Iranians, we have introduced the Chinese, and we are happy to have our rabbi with us, introducing to us the Jewish community. So this is what we call the getting to know your neighbor. Now this month, we are so excited to have the Jewish community represented. And I'm also happy that I have my colleague and my MPP, Gila Mato. She is really great in the Jewish community. She said, I have to join you guys. And she was also checking and making sure we got the correct email for her, correct link for her. Is she here yet? Is Gila here?
And
Oh,
Daisy,
yeah. Now I see you. Sorry, it's my eyesight. I just want to make sure you're here. And thank you very much. She keep on telling me all the things that I need to introduce to my neighbors. To the Jewish community. Now, at this time, I'd like to give a quick update on what is recently happening in our province. And I'm sure our premier has been telling you every day, and I'm sure all of us are in tune with what is going on. But I feel that as your MPP in Richmond Hill, I have to be responsible to give you an update as well. I'm sure you all know that the Ontario government is preparing to move into the phase 2 of its COVID-19 vaccine distribution plan. Actually, we are telling you that we have the two doses of vaccines given to the one that is stage 1. I'm happy to report that I have my mother-in-law in the long-term care. She got her vaccine on January 1st. So yes, also some of us are still waiting. When is my turn? When is my turn? We want to make sure that the long-term care get that first because they are the one that is most vulnerable. I know that the other ones that are that are staying with us at home, whether it's our grandmother or our mother, they also need the vaccination and it's rolling out now. And as you can see in the York region, we are already rolling out ahead of the province is saying that by March 15th, we are rolling it out. But why is York region, where we live, we get it sooner than the others? It is because York region still have some access of the vaccine, and instead of just giving it to anyone that they have within the hospital or whatever, they want to make sure they give it to, they want to make sure they, hold on a second. I am still having Jill's emailing me. Anthony, are we okay?
She's here, Daisy. Ms.
Oh.
Knapp is here.
Okay, all right, good. So maybe that was a message from before. Now I can continue with the exciting news on the vaccine. Oh yes, Jill, you're here. Thank you. Now, as I say, starting March 15th, the province will launch an online booking system. It is a provincial customer service desk to answer the question and support all the appointment. But you can also go into York region, the website. You can also check with them just in case they have some extra vaccines that they are ready. In fact, I just checked it today. They are doing the one that is over 80 years old, as well as the ones that is in the frontline workers. We have to take care of those first. And it is the same as what the province is doing. We're doing those that are over 80, and it's coming down very, very quickly. We are doing as fast as we can. We just cannot wait because a lot of the communities are waiting for them. And I know for sure it is working because I, as a parliamentary assistant for the long-term care, I have the report from the long-term care as well as the retirement homes. The numbers that is affected come down drastically. So it is very good because those who got the vaccines, now they are really protected. So we are happy. Those group also have 2 doses, not only 1 dose. So we know that they are very safe now. Now, in addition to the hospital, we are, in addition to the hospital, the mobile clinics and the mass vaccination clinics are all working together. And we are also working with the pharmacy sector and make sure that we have all the collaboration with the different public health units. Our only concern is to make sure we have the supply. And accordingly, we heard it in the news that we have now Johnson and Astra, and Like all those vaccine are approved by the Health Canada, so we should be able to have more vaccines now. And I really pray that our federal good partner will get all the vaccines that we need, and then we'll keep everybody safe. Now, we have also made amendment in regard to child care. We understand today is International Women's Day. We understand that there are a lot of women who has been working in the workforce, but they have to stay behind to take care of their children. They were not able to either continue to go back to work, or if they are female entrepreneur, they have a hard time still coping with the children as well as doing the business. So we are making sure that we make the amendments that you have the affordable childcare so that the female, the mothers can get the programs that they need for the children so that they can concentrate back and more can go back to work. We are also, it is important, this is an important reform, will ensure that working parents with a focus especially on women can return to the workforce. Lastly, our government is committed to provide small business with financial support. And I'm sure by now you all know the kind of different kind of support that we have. I am not going to repeat it here because I cannot wait to have our Associate Minister, Joe Dunlop, to tell us everything about her ministry. You can also just click onto the website to tell you the $20,000 that you can get and all the different kind of incentive and investment that we have given to support our businesses. So at this time, I would like to pass my great time on to our Associate Minister, our Minister of Children and Women's Issues, Minister Joe Dunlop. I just heard her great story just now. It is so impressive. So that's why I say I cannot wait to hear from her. Let's just hear what she has been doing and how we can benefit from this ministry. Thank you very much, Minister.
Hi, Daisy. How are you? Thank you for having me tonight. I see Gila's on our call as well.
Yes.
I'm so fortunate to be part of a government that has so many strong women MPPs across Ontario, but we also have strong men who support us too, which I think is also very important. So happy International Women's Day to everyone on the call, men and women. I hope you've all taken the day to reach out and thank some of the women who have impacted your lives, because we all have special women. And it was interesting. I was on a call this morning, an interview with a radio host and a gentleman, and he was telling me, he sat down, he made a list, and he said he thought of 47 women that had an impact on his life. I thought that was pretty incredible. And I was proud of him for doing that and really thinking about it. And I just came off of a town hall with Minister McLeod and some women in tourism. So absolutely incredible stories from women in different sectors, and to hear all that they've accomplished. And it's really those women who have blazed the trail ahead of us, and it's up to all of us to, and our duty, I think, to mentor and support the younger women that are coming behind us. And as Minister McLeod said, to actually widen the path for them too, which I thought is a really good way of looking at it. So I thank you so much, Daisy, for having me here tonight. It is International Women's Day, but in my ministry, we celebrate women every single day. And anything that comes to government, it comes to cabinet, I always have my eyes on it and say, how does this affect women? And Daisy brought up a good point about childcare. And we know that, women have been disproportionately affected during the pandemic. And when I have had numerous roundtables in person and virtual, and not an opportunity goes by that we don't talk about childcare at any of these tables. And we hear from women that we need to have affordable childcare, needs to be accessible, and it also needs to be flexible. We don't all live in an urban center where there are childcare centers available. We don't all work, kind of traditional work hours. These are things that we need to be looking at to be able to support women in many different industries, which is going to be crucial when this province is coming out of the pandemic. and is recovering. So I've been working with my colleagues, Minister of Education, as well as Minister Peter Bethlehem Falvey, and really looking at childcare and talking with our colleagues in other provinces and with the federal government, because it's really going to be working across governments to ensure that we can move forward with this and really have a deeper look at childcare. We knew it was an issue before, but I think it's really been highlighted by COVID and the effects that it's had. We were also very fortunate during COVID when there was emergency childcare available for our essential workers. And in my ministry, we were looking at women who are working in women's shelters. If those women didn't have accessible childcare for them at the time, then they weren't going to be able to stay working on the front lines. And we really needed them to be there to be able to support women in that role. And same with women in the child welfare sector. Oh, I think it's off now. Group homes, et cetera, where we needed to ensure that they had accessible childcare to continue working, because they are, highly represented in those areas as staff members. So there's been a lot of work in that area. I was talking with Daisy just today about some things I might talk about tonight. One of them was about human trafficking. And I hope everyone on this call knows something about human trafficking. We've been doing a lot of work the past couple of years on a strategy for human trafficking. And when I first came into this ministry 2.5 years ago, I started with my colleagues hosting roundtables across the province. And we've hosted 13 roundtables and really was across the province, because we know that geographic challenges are in some areas. If you're in Windsor, your challenge is being next to the US border. If you're in Kenora, you're dealing with the Ontario, Manitoba border. So just looking at how do we ensure that there's no gaps that we're providing for survivors across the province. So a couple of years ago, we had announced that there was going to be a strategy in place, and that organizations who support victims of human trafficking would receive annualized funding on a continued basis. That was one thing that we heard early on, was that the organizations who are supporting victims really needed to know that the money that they required to do the work they were doing was going to be there year after year. So we made that announcement. And then last March, just before the COVID shut everything down, we announced the anti-human trafficking strategy of $307 million over 5 years. And since that time, we have since introduced new legislation that we had our first reading 2 weeks ago. So this really makes Ontario a leader in Canada. There is no other province that has human trafficking legislation. The sad part is Ontario is also the hub for human trafficking in Canada. So we need to step up and do more to ensure that we're educating the public, we're educating young children in school to understand what human trafficking is, what it looks like, what it feels like, or signs to look for as someone is trying to groom you. We need to have supports available that survivors are able to exit from trafficking, because these people take everything away from these young women and girls. And it's difficult for them to leave if you don't have supports to go to, if you don't have housing in place. So we need to be able to provide that. But at the same time, we also need to hold the offenders accountable. And I know this is where the Premier gets very passionate about putting the bad guys in jail, but it really is, one thing depends on the other. If we're going to have victims exiting human trafficking, we need to be there to support them as well. So that's something that I'm very proud of the work that our government is doing. And I know our MPPs across the province will be hosting virtual calls like this in their ridings to really bring this to light and educate the public. I was actually on a call with one of my colleagues a couple months ago, and it was in the Dufferin Peel region. And it was the school board had hosted it, and I was blown away. There was like just under 600 people on that phone call that night. And so I spoke about what government was doing. There was police officers there talking about the work that they're doing, and a local service provider as well. But that's 600 people that are going to walk away with knowledge. And I'm sure each one of them is going to tell at least one person out there what to look for and to for them to realize it's happening in their communities and it could be happening to their children. And we're also educating kids, as early as grade 4 now, talking about, what do healthy relationships look like? What is consent? What is human trafficking? Because the average age of trafficking is just 13 years old. So we need to be having these conversations with young people before that age so that they are equipped and understand and know where to go for help if they think it's happening to them, but also to recognize the signs if it may be happening to a friend of theirs, and to know that they can tell their teacher, their parents, police officers. But it really is, education will be the number one thing that we can do to combat human trafficking. Some other things that we've been working on in our ministry, we're always talking about empowering women and how do we do more, and what a perfect day on International Women's Day with wonderful women on this phone call. So I thank Daisy for having me here and for being such a leader in her area and in our caucus as well. Empowering women is so important, and especially during COVID right now, we know women have lost their jobs, women have had to leave the workplace to stay home and look after children, and had to make that decision. We are the caregivers, and we lead with our hearts, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We see things from a different perspective, and I think we need to, our male colleagues need to understand that as well. But with we also need to ensure that if women are losing their jobs, that we have the capacity and the supports available in retraining women from industries that have been hit very hard, such as tourism, hospitality, the retail sector, restaurants. Some of these areas will take a long time to recover to 100%, but yet we have jobs out there that are sitting empty with a paycheck that we can, in fact, retrain folks to get into those jobs. So that's something that I've had particular passion about is the skilled trades. And I think we can continue to do more in that area to encourage second career women who have lost their jobs, but also young women who are looking at career opportunities down the road. And I have the chance to work with some amazing women in all of those different sectors. And they are all so passionate about their area, but also passionate about getting younger women into it and how they can be mentors, which I think is so important. We talk about mentorship, and it seems to, from what I hear from women, that seems to be the number one thing that is of importance to them when entering into different professions. So, I don't know what different areas all of the ladies in the call tonight work in, but I think it's important and our duty as women to mentor the next generation after us, and to teach our young women and girls to be all they can be, and to help them be successful along the way, and to all be celebrating International Women's Day today. We turn it back to you.
Thank you so much,
Questions.
Minister Dunlop. That was wonderful. I really appreciate it. Now, are you able to stay until the end if anybody has questions for you, or do you prefer?
I think I'm good till about 8:15, but I'm happy to take questions till then.
Okay, we do have a couple of other speakers, and we're running a bit behind. So if anybody has any questions, please do put them in the chat. We'll make sure that Minister Dunlop or our office gets back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer them and get them back to people. But well, if that's the case, I will head out. But happy International Women's Day to everyone there. Reach out and thank a woman who has supported you along the way. And thank you so much for joining Daisy on the call tonight.
Thank you very much, Minister Dunlop. You are the one that we have to say thank you for. You're the nice woman, and we're proud of you, whether it's in the caucus or whether it's here, and especially all that you have done for the human trafficking for that file. I thank you for that.
Thank you, Daisy.
Happy International.
Oh, thank you, Gila.
Thank you, everyone. And now I'd like to welcome Alma Arzate to speak with us on International Women's Day. Alma is the Global Director of Supply Planning at Apotex, where she leads a diverse team of 140 supply professionals. Alma's story was shared on the cover of April 2020 edition of Canadian Immigrant Magazine as part of their Immigrant Women of Inspiration special. She's been recognized by so many organizations. I would be here forever if I named them all, but just today, Alma was named by IBM and Supply Chain Digital Magazine as part of their global list of top 100 women in supply chain. Congratulations. And Alma, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carly. And thank you for having me here. Thank you, MPP Way, for this invitation. This is an honor for me to join this wonderful group of neighbors, because I'm in Stouffville. So we're neighbors, right? So we're in the York region, and Apotex has operations in Richmond Hill. So we have a very, very important manufacturing facility there. And so thank you for all the support to Apotex. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. So let me know when you can see my screen, okay? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, got it.
Perfect. You see MPP Way here. Honoring MPP Way.
Thank you for having me there.
Well, this is a celebration. So I start by echoing all the comments. It has been a long day today for me. I started with a panel at Apotex, a great event that we had at Apotex, and then I was invited to do a keynote speech for Day & Ross, a company in New Brunswick. So, and they get to the earlier point, I learned I was named to these top 100 women, and now I'm here with you guys, and it has been a bit of a rush, through the whole day. So happy International Women's Day to all, and to you and the women in your life. So the International Women's Day 2021 campaign theme is Choose to Challenge. So this is from their website. So a challenged world is an alert world. Individually, we're all responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day and every day. And we can choose to challenge and call out any gender bias and inequality, and seek out and celebrate women's achievements. Collectively, we can create a more inclusive and a more gender equal world. So from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. A little bit about my professional background. I'm originally from Mexico, and I started over there in the newspaper industry, then moved to the electronics industry, moving on to the automotive industry, and then the medical device and diagnostics industry. Then in Canada, I've been part of two companies, J&J Consumer Packaged Goods and Apotex Generics Pharmaceutical Company. I have had many roles. I'm not going to read them all. I had many roles in the professional world. I'm a business leader. I didn't start as a business leader, as you can see. I started with being an analyst, an executive assistant, a buyer, and then slowly but surely, you get more and more, positions of responsibility. When you're responsible for a lot of people, in my current role, Director of Supply Chain Logistics, I'm responsible for 140 people, which are related to our distribution centers, all the technicians that are packing product and shipping product out the door, traffic, customs, secure supply chain for pharmaceuticals, etc. So a little bit of my personal background. I was born, I was raised, I studied, I worked, I married, and I basically was living let's say a happy life, in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. And this is where I live most of my life, here in this little town of Juarez, which is kind of the fourth largest city in Mexico, right across the border with the United States. Sadly, as you probably, I don't know, you have heard, but, Juarez became a very violent town, and, the situation started deteriorating rapidly. So my husband and I decided to look for other opportunities, and we decided to move to Canada. So back in 2002, I started my permanent residency application under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. I got my permanent residency granted 3 years later. I was always watching to see if there was any vacancies in Canada. Finally, I identified a job opening with J&J Canada as a project manager. So it was a little bit of a setback for me, because in Mexico, I was already a people leader, but what we wanted was to come to Canada. So I was lucky, to arrive in Canada with a job, so I always tell people I'm very, very lucky. My family couldn't relocate to Toronto until later, like about 4 months after I arrived. And then, it was very hard at the beginning, from this first few years, my integration into the Canadian society, my integration into the workplace, the Canadian workplace, it was really, really challenging. And but slowly but surely, and we'll talk about some examples, then I got to demonstrate my performance, and then I got promoted to, multiple roles, et cetera, all throughout, all the way to this year when I took on the newest role in logistics. But this situation and it's specifically International Women's Day made me reflect, what seemed to be the main challenges regarding women finding their voices and choosing to challenge, because I had the same challenges when I came to Canada, when I was trying to find my voice, and what are those unique challenges. So, and something that happened to me was in meetings, that were filled with executives and people that had very strong personalities. And I felt I was capable, but I was quiet, I was tentative, I was talking at the wrong time. I just couldn't break into the conversation. And then when I broke into a conversation, and I found myself repeating someone else's point. So I was interrupted constantly. Someone else took my ideas and, took those ideas and repackaged them and presented. He presented those ideas, and those were very much well received. So it's something that I have been reflecting, and I can see that being assertive doesn't really come naturally to a lot of us, because back in Mexico, it's a very hierarchical culture. So we are trained, to be soft and be gentle, be very accommodating. So in order to break from that mold, we have to, find the courage within ourselves to break in those biases, that suppression, that conditioning, so we can stand up and speak up and find our voices. So how can women speak up and choose to challenge with greater confidence? And this is a question I get all the time. So, and I always share the good news, which is, it's a skill. It's a skill that anyone can develop, but the more you do it, the better it becomes. The more you speak, the greater your confidence, the more relaxed you look, and the more effective you are. And one thing that I do is, sometimes I'll be nervous about going to a big meeting and I have a topic to present, etc. But I try to fuel, my performance with that excitement, that nervous energy. Now, this is something that for women that are just kind of starting out in the workplace, can be your daughters, can be yourselves, to find the power of their voice. You might want to start testing it out in a very safe, very low risk environment and pushing the limits from there. So, for example, I have a monthly meeting with my direct reports and their reports. So my prior team had about 23 people. So once a month, we all, the 23 of us, get together and we just go around the room and everyone is giving an update on their projects and what they're working on. So that's a very safe environment. And I always, give them the spotlight so they feel more confident about speaking in public and finding their voice. So if people are in a meeting, you're in a meeting, you want to weigh in, you might want to ask a clarifying question, so that will make you seem like you're paying attention, you're really understanding, and it's very safe to enter the conversation that way when you're asking a question, you're not 100% sure, but you're asking to try to understand a little more. So as women, this is a feedback I have gotten in the past too, you need to learn how to balance your level of passion, because we we, especially, people, again, from, let's say, from Latin American countries, we are very passionate, but it's, when we show too much passion, then it's like, oh, she's too emotional or she's less rational. But if you're just like a flat delivery, then it's like very uninspiring. So we need, as women, we need to understand when to turn it on and when to turn it off a little more, until we kind of hit the mark and the level of passion. Now, you also want others to perceive you as very composed and in command of your emotions. So be watchful of your tone, your pitch, your timing, and your body language, because you don't want to be like crossing your arms or like having a very high pitched tone. So you need to also watch and practice, right? You can practice in front of a mirror when you're about to deliver a very important presentation at work. So just try to practice and maybe ask your significant other, a friend, someone that you trust to give you some feedback about what you're trying to, if the message is coming across as you really want it to come across. Another thing that people do, I to be honest, I don't do it that often, but they record themselves delivering the presentation or whatever it is that they're about to do, and then they watch it. And then sometimes they watch it with no sound. So you just observe the body language, and you seem very guarded or you seem open, and so that might be another tip. And then I'll close by saying that if I have learned anything over the last 14 years in Canada, is not to try to be a version of someone else. You are unique, and people are either going to accept you for who you are or not, and it's going to be their loss because they're not going to get to know you. So you still need to be true to yourself. The more authentic and genuine you are, the more consistent your communication style is going to be. And it doesn't matter the audience. So this morning I was speaking of an audience with, I don't think it was like 400 people. And right now we have 40 people. It doesn't really matter about the size of the audience or the levels. At work, I facilitate a monthly meeting with all the executives, vice president of operation, and all the VPs at the heads of every site. I'm the same way if I'm talking to my own team. It doesn't really matter. You need to feel that confidence that comes with knowing your stuff and knowing that you're doing a good job delivering whatever messaging is that you are delivering. So I'm really hoping, that the women in this room and their daughters and if we have men in the room, which right away I have to say I have had the most wonderful allies and supporters and mentors. A lot of them have been men. So definitely we couldn't get to whatever we are today without the other half of the population, which is all the men that are supporting us as women. And women ourselves, we continue to open door. And I think we already heard it, widening the path for other women. So I'm hoping you're ready to find your voice and get it out in the world. So thank you so much for this time and this invitation.
Thank you so much, Alma. That was wonderful and very inspiring to the women here tonight. I really appreciate you coming out. Now it's time for our next program, Getting to Know Your Neighbor. Every month we introduce a community in Richmond Hill and learn more about them so we can support each other better in the community. This month we have the Jewish community, and we're very honored to have Rabbi Mendel Zaltzman join us to provide his presentation. Rabbi?
Hi, thank you, Carly. Thank you, MPP Way, for arranging this evening tonight. I saw CS here before, who I remember from the good days some years back, but I don't see him right now. It's good to see you, Gila, as well. So I guess a little bit of background. I mean, you mentioned the Jewish community. I specifically am involved in the Jewish-Russian community. I can't talk for the Jewish community at large, which is in the GTA, a very, very large community. So I'm the CEO at the Jewish-Russian Community Center. Jewish-Russian Community Center has been around since 1980 and is here to serve immigrants from the Soviet Union. So as most of the GTA being an immigrant community, we are one component, I can say, of that. And we specifically came here to serve those who immigrated in the late 60s into the 70s. Obviously, and then major further immigrations that happened in the 90s after the Soviet Union collapsed, and many still coming either directly from the different countries of the former Soviet Union, Russia, Ukraine, etc., or some who moved to Israel and are now coming from Israel here to Toronto. Many are also second generation, so it's already the children of those that we've worked with years back. So our background is interesting. The founder is my father, who came here in 1980, 40 years ago. He himself was born in Russia and grew up in what we call the underground. So if you're familiar, in the Soviet Union, it was communism, religion was outlawed. And obviously that meant that for many, they gave up their religion, not being able to stand up to Stalin and those who were before and after him. My father grew up in a family who went to the underground and kept all the different customs and laws of Jewish tradition while hiding, and obviously were waiting for the day that they can get out of what was for them hell, in essence. And pretty much from then on devoted his life and created this community there to try and give the community back what was taken away from them for so many years. So many of you have probably heard of the Chabad movement, which is an international Jewish organization. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, the leader of the Chabad movement, sent and established the Jewish Russian community as the arm for the Jewish Russian community, the Chabad arm for the Jewish Russian community here in Ontario. So I grew up in this community as a child, and I've been working now for 17 years back in the community as well. Today there are 17,000 families, Jewish Russian families across Ontario, over 50,000 people. The majority of them are based in the GTA. There's about 6,000 families in Toronto proper, about 7,500 families in York region. And in Richmond Hill, we have about 2,000 families, a nice sized community. As I said, this is, not talking about the, I think, 250,000 Jews that are spread out across the province. So I wanted to show you, I guess, if I can share my screen here. Can you see this flyer?
Mm-hmm.
So just, you can see here the map of the city with Bathurst going along the middle of it, and the different locations that we have in the core of the city. And you got right there the number 1 on top. I think it's on the wrong side of Bathurst, but that is our location right at Bathurst and Stockdale. That's between Rutherford and Major Mac. And that is our location that serves the local Jewish Russian community in Richmond Hill. This specifically is the high holidays, and as you can see, it's 2019, 2020. Unfortunately, it wasn't the typical high holiday year, and we had to come up with very unique ways of trying to serve the community. That is one example. Here is another event. Can you see this flyer? You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Simchat Torah event, one of the big celebrations we have in the Jewish community. And once again, you can see on the bottom different locations. You've got Richmond Hill and different locations where the community is focused. These are more family events where people come, there's food, singing, and celebration together. Then there's education for the kids. So this is our Hebrew school, which is kids that go to regular public school during the week. And you have here different locations where some of them are actually in public schools, whether it's Sundays or after school program, so that people can participate and get some Jewish education. What I want actually to talk about, which I think can probably, this is not just for our community, although it's a program that we started, a thing that we're very proud about, and that is actually a service for anyone that lives in the GTA, with actually a special focus on York region, is our Furniture Depot. Furniture Depot is basically a program where we receive donated furniture from people and then give it to families in need. So this is a 2019 report. Again, I'm skipping 2020. It was a unique year. We were closed for a few months and then restarted again with a unique way. Now we do online appointments to try and continue serving people while we can't do the typical. But our goal is very simple: to furnish people who can't afford to buy furniture. We work with 60 referral agencies. That means that we're working with York Region shelters, welcome centers, women's organizations. We have 200 caseworkers from these different 60 organizations who are able to use our system to refer their clients to be able to get furniture. You can see here the numbers as they grew from 2014. We're serving 2,300 people. That's about 800 families a year, and are distributing 6,000 items of furniture to those families. There's a process both for donors and for clients. And typically what we find often is that there are people that are on both sides. There are people that are clients 1 year, and then 2 years later can become donors as well. Somebody calls and says, I have furniture to donate. We have a system where they can enter the items that they have. They would then pay to have the furniture picked up unless they want to deliver it. We would issue them a tax receipt for the value of the furniture, and it then gets placed inside our warehouse. There's quality control. We have a heat room to make sure that there are no bed bugs, to make sure that there's no issues. And then we come to clients. Clients are typically already working with a caseworker, with some type of an agency. They would go onto our calendar. They would be able to book an appointment directly when they're sitting with their clients. The client would show up at the furniture depot, would have a walk and a tour. He would be able to pick the furniture and what he wants, and then we would arrange delivery to their home. We work with OW, with ODSP, with all the different agencies that are involved in this. And this is a program that serves, that while we started it to serve an immigrant community, the Jewish Russian community has grown to serve all types of communities and all backgrounds. And if there's anybody here as an organization or as an individual that thinks that this can work for them, you can go to jrccfurnituredepot.org. You can get all the information there and potentially either become a referring agency or find an agency through which you can apply to actually get furniture. The one last thing that I wanted to share, one second. Seniors programs. So we deal with a community that is unique in the sense that because there's an immigrant community, you know, when you talk about baby boomers in the Canadian community, obviously, you know, you can't, the same rule doesn't apply to everybody, but they're typically people that have worked for many years and accumulated some level of wealth and have what to retire on. But immigrants don't have that, especially if they immigrated at some point of an older age, and you know, even though they may be well educated, to change their degrees here isn't so simple. So they're not as well off as others. So a lot of what we do is deal with seniors, whether it's weekly programs, classes, holiday events, trying to get them out of isolation and help them in different ways. Obviously, this past year has hit seniors more than any other community. And so this is a flyer that is in Russian, but is Zoom programming. It's exercise or a concert that we do ongoing, and we've been doing this for the last half a year, adding some other programs. These are just two examples of ongoing programs for seniors that we have. As a community, we obviously deal with anti-Semitism that isn't at the forefront now, and everybody's focused on COVID, as we should, and hopefully getting everybody out of it very soon. But pre-COVID, security became a major issue in the community, something that we appreciate, obviously, the government support in trying to combat and deal with. We have a magazine that we publish called Exodus Magazine, one in English, one in Russian, that is mailed throughout the community. We have a women's division, which is focused, led by women, arranging whether it's classes or concerts or different types of program that are focused that way. And I guess the last thing actually that we started, and I guess with that I'll finish, is that during COVID, we started helping with food. We were doing this program to help seniors do their shopping. We had volunteers and staff that were going and doing weekly shopping for seniors who didn't want to leave their home. And in the process, we realized how many didn't have what to pay with. And so we are in the process of developing a food bank, a kosher food bank that would, because unfortunately, currently there isn't, it's a lack in the community. There isn't a wide open kosher food bank that is available. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, that's a process that we hope will be successful. I hope that was information that was helpful, and I thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I, before colleague jumps in, can I ask Gila to add on? Like, Gila has been very, very active with the Jewish community as well. Is there anything you can add on and say a few words to us, Gila, please? Do I see Gila? Maybe she is not around now.
I think
I'm
she
sorry.
might have had to hop off. I
Yeah.
don't see her, but that presentation, Rabbi, was fantastic. I think we've all learned a lot, and I'm extremely interested in your furniture depot, which I didn't know about at all. And please keep us posted on your food bank. I think everybody here is very interested in that venture, and will want to donate. So keep us posted on that, please. So thank you everyone for the presentations tonight. I'm going to invite MPPY back for her closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Carly. I am very impressed with all of our presentation this evening. Are you? Let's give them a round of applause. And thank you so much to all my presenters. And Rabbi, if there is anything you want us to promote, whether through our different social media of different events, let us know. We'll want to make sure that our community knows about it and we participate in some of those events as well. And I really thank you for coming over and giving us all these detailed information. I just cannot wait when the pandemic is over, come by and visit you and know more about the different kind of things that you are doing. I also love to see what I can do with your furniture depot. And it's amazing how you are having the next generation learning about Hebrew. So there is a lot of things that we can learn from each other as neighbors and as friends. And thank you very, very much for coming tonight. Now, I just want to make sure all of us don't forget to come next month, because next month we are going to have a very, very full agenda. You all know that we are going to present our budget coming up soon. And next month in April, which is the second Monday of each month, we're making it the second Monday now because the first Monday is either a public holiday Monday or something, so we do not want to intrude into somebody's long weekend. So we make it as the second Monday. We will still be sending out emails to inform you about this, but you can just send us an email and then we will register you in. Now, next month in April, that is April 12th, again is 7:30. We will have the Minister of Finance as well. Peter Bethlen-Felty is also the president of the Treasury Board. He is going to tell us what are we doing right now with our budget. Right now, we have spent quite a lot of money to support the pandemic. What are we going to do? How do we generate the money and support each other? Do come with questions if you want, and we will make sure that he answer all your questions. Talking about questions, part of this, the Monday Matters, we were originally planning to give at least 10 to 15 minutes for people to ask questions. But what our program are so full that we know that we might not be able to have all the people asking questions. Make sure you ask your questions in the chat box, or you can always send us emails and we will respond back to you. So next month, other than the Minister of Finance, we also have our York Regional Police. This is something that everybody would love to know. Online fraud. There are lots of different kind of fraud these days. Other than telephone, online fraud is something that we really need to watch out for. And the York Regional Police is going to be here and tell us all the details. Last time he has already teach us how to do crime prevention, how neighbors can support each other. So watch out for what they're going to show you next month. And one more time, I just wish all of you, whether it's ladies or gentlemen, I want to wish all of you happy International Women's Day. And I wish all of you a great night. And I look forward to see you all again next Monday